Drag racing fan, as Waterbug85 says, hello, race fans. Hello, drag racing fans. I'm the Monday Morning Racer, and breaking news. It has already come out, but we're going to share it right now here live on Between the Slicks concerning the PDRA, a major player in the PDRA, Kevin Rivenbark, in the John Strickland last year championship winning Gawlik Motorsports Pro Mod in Pro Boost PDRA competition, wrecked today in testing on the top end. A serious incident. Chutes did not come out until it was too late, and he was in the wall spinning on top of the roof over and over, from what I understand. Car is certainly hurt, but Kevin is not. He is all right after the incident, and the team will be releasing statements later on what they intend to do concerning this race weekend. He is the current Pro Boost points leader, so there are serious implications to what occurred today in testing at Gawlik Motorsports Park for the PDRA Drag Wars that will be happening this very weekend. Now, concerning the PDRA and Drag Wars, we will be talking about that momentarily. So, any questions, any comments, any thoughts concerning the PDRA and Drag Wars at Gawlik Motorsports Park, feel free to chime in and share and express your thoughts. Some great drag racing action will be taking place there this weekend. Again, Between the Slicks live, if you would, hit that thumbs up button, the like button, hit the share button for me. Please jump into those comments and generate the discussion of drag racing right here with yours truly, the Monday Morning Racer on Between the Slicks. I believe we got a great show tonight. Brian Gawlik, he is on. He is a top alcohol funny car driver. That beautiful silver and blue bodied machine behind him there in the thumbnail. We're going to talk to him about his journey to the driver's seat and his most recent event in which he was runner-up at Virginia Motorsports Park for a Division I regional in NHRA Lucas Oil Drag Racing Series competition. And Amanda Busick will be on. Now, it's a pre-recorded interview. I interviewed her earlier today with all that she's got going on, and we'll explain that briefly in that interview. But we're going to get her perspective on Hot Rod Drag Week 2021. She was able to participate in that, travel with the guys, and help in the live streaming part of Hot Rod Drag Week 2021. So we're looking forward to playing that and her perspective on Drag Week coming out, and you all able to hear about her thoughts and what she experienced. Taylor Pickney, hey there. How are you, man? I'm doing great. Yes, Amanda, we'll have her on later, again, pre-recorded. And yes, hello to me as well. Stan, MMR, like the definite, yes, Monday Morning Racer. Top Fuel 173, glad Kevin was okay. Yes, certainly. The car, safety equipment, everything did its job, except for something apparently with the parachutes. Later on tonight, folks, go to the Monday Morning Racer Facebook page, and one of the top posts will be the video. There is video of the incident. The limo guy at large, Scott, he is there. He was filming. It was caught on camera, and you can see what did happen. The chute looked like it got caught on the right rear quarter panel. Yeah, the chute got caught, or the chute didn't come out. I wonder if like a rotor exploded. I don't know. Haven't heard exactly what, but beyond speculation, I'm glad that we have nothing to speculate concerning Kevin's status and well-being. He is all right. Sam chiming in. Hey, Lee, this show is the best way to go into Friday. Man, I appreciate that. Thank you. Try to have a diverse show. I have said it many times. I think this is the most diverse drag racing talk show out there. I love what we're doing on Competition Plus on Tuesday nights at 9 p.m., the Competition Plus Power Hour with my co-host Slam and Sam. I love what Wes Buck is doing with his show and Mike Carpenter and all the guests they're bringing in. I love what American Hot Rod Entertainment is doing, Darren Williams, with his recaps. But where else are you going to be able to talk to or hear from a top alcohol driver that recently participated in a Division I regional? Who's talking to people from regionals? Who's talking to people about Drag Week on the very same show? Who's having no prep people come on? And I don't mean necessarily no prep kings. I mean like the real deal no prep, back of the track type of guys. NHRA stars, PDRA stars, you name it. Media personalities right here on Between the Slicks. And that's why I named it Between the Slicks, because everything about drag racing between it, we'll talk about it right here on Monday Morning Racer. He says, Waterbug 85, how can I find drag racing ET and mile per hour records? I've tried today and couldn't find them. Waterbug 85, you were talking about something that concerning drag racing, to find those stats, it is extremely challenging. One of the best ways to find that information, though, is actually dragillustrated.com. I believe you can view it on the website, but every issue of their magazine, they have the records listed of various different types of sanctioning bodies and distances and cars for you to be able. It's in the back. If I had a Drag Illustrated magazine, which I am a subscriber, I'll tell you what, go mention Monday Morning Racer. Maybe they give you a discount. Well, probably not. But Drag Illustrated has in the back those records. Beyond what Drag Illustrated puts out, it is challenging to find stats on drag racing. If you know Brett Kepner, maybe send him an email. That might be the best way to do it. Might be the best way to do it. Top Fuel 173, PDRA picks. Yes, we're going to get to those, I hope. Taylor, it's ma'am. Well, hello, ma'am, and great to have you watching along. Darrell Craft, Amanda is real easy on the eyes. She is a beautiful lady, and even more than on the outside, I will say she's a beautiful person on the inside. She has always been very genuine and has always been very considerate to a lowly media personality such as myself. Doug Core, you rock, Lee. I appreciate that, Doug. Thank you for watching. I got to give a shout out to Mom. Hello, Mom. Thank you for watching. Let me get through these comments. We're going to get into definitely the drag racing news and talk tonight. Tom Savage, hey, thanks for giving Top Alcohol Funny Car some press. Look, love Top Alcohol Funny Car. How can you not love Top Alcohol Funny Car? I mean, great looking cars, great looking funny cars. They're still hitting buttons and shifting. There's still a clutch, revving to 5,000-6,000 RPMs off the line. I mean, I love Top Alcohol Funny Car. I dare say, honestly, they're right there with Nitro Funny Car. I mean, I would pay money to go to a full-blown Top Alcohol Funny Car event. And why there is not a $50,000 Top Alcohol Funny Car race out there somewhere, I don't know. Somebody lay some money down. If I had the money, I'd be laying it down. That would be a stellar event. Joe, the Top Fuel driver, Morrison, here to listen to my buddy Brian and, of course, Amanda. Oh, you too, Lee. Yes, thank you, Joe, for being right here on Monday Morning Racer Between the Slicks. Hello from Gawlik Motorsports Park. Todd, we'll see you later. Taylor, I do have a question. How you feel about no prep racing? I love it. Now, I'm not the biggest fan of no prep kings, like that type of show or what is on TV. That just really doesn't float my boat. But there definitely has to be elements from that recognized of the popularity that they've been able to gain. Like, how can we implement that in professional drag racing? How can we implement how those shows are broadcasted to grow the popularity elsewhere in drag racing? But the people who are doing the no prep back of the track type of events, I love that. That's like hot rodding all the way back, but bringing it to the modern day. I love those type of events. And also when they go and put them at the air parks, the airports. You can't get more drag racing than that. That's where drag racing started. Michael Little, yes, thanks for the Top Alcohol Funny Car stuff. You are welcome. Taylor, I love Top Alcohol Funny Cars. Guys, thank you for chiming in. I appreciate it. Got to get through all these. Waterbug 85, Brittany Force runs 364-1 at 337 miles per hour in first round. It's got me pumped up about records. Go check them out, man. She was close. She was close. That still doesn't beat at least one that she set there at Maple Grove in qualifying. I've never watched a Street Outlaws No Prep Kings race. What's the attraction? Well, Doug, I believe the attraction is the cars actually look like the cars. They are what they are supposed to be. They're actually steel quarters and roof cars. They're two chassis, but they're more akin to what like even Pro Stock used to be way back when. Certainly they have power adders, things of that nature. And then they do a good job of crafting the personalities. I'm a firm believer that in drag racing, in any sport, with motorsports concerned, that the cars are in fact not the stars. I'll say that later on with Amanda's interview. And you gravitate towards people, and you also gravitate towards the people you don't like. Like we like not liking somebody most of the time. We do. And people also love the drama, things of that nature. Hey, we enjoy watching the people element. I mean, look, what have we talked about even from NHRA? Cruz and JR, Bruno and McGahey with the starter, all those other types of issues. Darrell Craft, Top Alcohol Funny Car, my favorite class. My dream is to drive an alcohol funny car. I would like to do that too. I agree with you. Will you be at PDRA this weekend? Top Fuel 173 asks. Yes, I will be. We're going to talk about it here shortly. I got to get to that. Steve Hudson, hi from the UK. Welcome to have you from the UK. What part of the UK? Northern Ireland, Scotland, Wales, England? What part? Taylor, the airports are the best. I agree. I really like those. The fights also. Yes, the fact of the matter is, whether you are a fighting person or not, fights help. Mom says that Pops is watching. Hello, Pops. Love you. Taylor, very quickly. I got thanks, guys. Can you please check out the factory appearing stock drag racing? I need to put that on my list. I do. I remember you chiming in, and thank you for that. For long drag strips, yes, they definitely, airports can be. Stan. All right, last one I've got to get to, and then we'll dive into some news, dive into some stories concerning PDRA, NHRA, and others. Fun fact. My dad was at Brainerd when the shoe ran 337 in the quarter, and both of us were at Vegas in 2019 when Brittany ran 338. Look, when those records get set, people definitely remember where they were. I remember when Brittany set the record at Maple Grove. I was right behind the car. Well, not right behind. I was next in line with the first pair of funny cars coming up, and I was right there as Joe was interviewing David Grubning. It was a pretty cool moment. It was a cool moment. Folks, I'm going to take a quick break, and we're going to come back, and we're going to dive in on drag racing news, opinion, and opine about the great motorsport that is drag racing. And later on, we'll have Brian on, driver of the Top Alcohol Funny Car for Gawlik and Screw Racing. We will chat with him on his runner-up at Virginia Motorsports Park and that journey to the driver's seat. Quick break. We'll be right back. Hero Soap Company is a veteran-owned establishment that produces all-natural, essential oils infused soap that is sold with a portion of the proceeds supporting other veteran groups. Hero Soap Company. Heroes supporting heroes. Be a hero yourself and buy a bar and let freedom clean. All right, PDRA this weekend at Gawlik Motorsports Park, Drag Wars. You can see them race on Saturday. Qualifying is Friday. If you are in the area, get to Benson, North Carolina, Gawlik Motorsports Park. That's just southeast of Raleigh, North Carolina. Already some big news coming out of the event and testing that is there. As we mentioned, Kevin Rivenbar, he is all right after a top-end crash. But I want to bring this picture up. And right there in the near lane, J.R. Carr, ladies and gentlemen, he had a wreck in St. Louis. He scraped the wall. That car is already back into competition. It's already back to running well, 414s in testing, and he is in the championship hunt. So it is good to see him back. Good to see the car running well, and that definitely keeps it a three-man race for that championship in pro stock, extreme pro stock in PDRA competition. And notice there in the far lane, Justin Kirk with the Buck Motorsports ride, Big Daddy Warlock, they are back out in competition. Good to see them back out. They won earlier this year. They might very well play a spoiler concerning Chris Powers, Johnny Placino, and J.R. Carr in the championship hunt. This car, the original Jungle Rat, well, it's not Tommy Franklin in it. It is Amber Franklin. She has moved from junior dragsters to top dragster and now sitting between a couple of doors in a door slammer and is participating in the Pro Outlaw 632 class this very weekend. And the car is running well. And more importantly than running well, she is chopping down the tree. Her worst light, ladies and gentlemen, her worst light in testing was a 016 light. Wow. That is outstanding. That is absolutely outstanding. Let me bring up the comments real quick. Ron Schneeberger, please get to the interviews. This could be done after the interviews. That is not the model of the show. My show, man. But thank you for tuning in. We'll get to the interviews. They come up around 8:20, 8:30, and we even talk afterwards. We're going to continue with some drag racing news. Thank you for watching along. Concerning points in the PDRA, Pro Nitrous, Jim Halsey, way out there. It's a race for second, ladies and gentlemen. Tony Wilson in that midnight special is second. Jay Cox is in third. Tommy Franklin is there in fourth. And Ed Burnley has had a fascinating year. He has showed up and he has had some luck go his way, and he has went A to B, and he has kept that car going straight. He has literally had a car fly over him. Yes, fly over him. And he also took out Jim Halsey at Maple Grove to go all the way to the finals later on that day. That's the situation in Pro Nitrous points. Pro Boost, and with Kevin Rivenbark's wreck, serious implications here because he is the points leader and he is within reach from the likes of Todd Tutterow, Randy Weatherford, and Daniel Ferris. This is what I wonder if this is going to happen. Daniel Ferris sits there in fourth place, not far from third and second, definitely a bit ways out from first. If they cannot repair Kevin's car, are we going to run into a situation to keep Kevin in the championship hunt that Kevin steps in to actually Daniel's ride, which is a Gawlik Motorsports car? I think those type of that type of move may very well happen this weekend, and you see it played out. Remember, they have not qualified yet. This was in testing. Tomorrow starts qualifications. So that car could be switched around, put a different name on it, and he's good to go and stays in the championship hunt. Extreme Pro Stock, Chris Powers leads the way. Johnny Placino is second, last year's champion, and J.R. Carr is third. And it is really a race. It is really a race between those guys for the championship. I want to say this, though. That man in fourth, Elijah Morton, he made a final round appearance at St. Louis. Keep an eye out for him. He has also won earlier this year in PDRA competition. He definitely can play a spoiler, and there have been several people with many more cars apparently entered for this weekend that can definitely upset the likes of Chris Powers, Johnny Placino, and J.R. Carr in their championship hunts. Very quickly, PDRA Pro Outlaw 632. Wes DeStefano, he leads the way by a great margin. But Darrell Stewart is not out of it, and neither is Dylan Voss. But with many people coming in and gaining experience and getting better at drag racing in this class, like Camry Caruso and the likes of Amber Franklin, the storylines are there. Will it be an easy walk to the championship for Wes with just 2 races left, or is he going to have some nail-biting moments going into the last 2? Go to the comments real quick. Joe here for Brian Gawlik. Hey, we'll be having Brian on in just about 10 minutes or so. So stick with us. Hang with us. Taylor says, by the way, I love watching your show. Thank you. I appreciate it. Scott says, Cox appears to be running Musi power now. I will definitely be looking for that switch and that change in the pits when I get the PDRA, and we'll make sure of that. I appreciate you letting us know. We will check that out. What do y'all think about what do you think right now concerning NHRA competition? We just come off the national event there in St. Louis, and what great racing we did have in St. Louis. Also, it was great to actually have a race. If you recall last year, and I was there, it was the wildest drag race I have ever been to in my life. There were three wrecks, 1 major engine explosion, body panels flying off of a top fuel dragster, and a supercharger being popped after the burnout, and a guy had to refuel his top fuel dragster on the line. Not to mention the weather before Sunday eliminations. I'm just glad that they had an event. It is amazing that they got a race in. I'm so glad that happened. And the speeds that we saw. My boy, Bobby Bodie, with a best ET of his career, 389. And ladies and gentlemen, young Bobby Bodie, 19 years of age, he's doing more tuning on that car than you realize. He is actually making a lot of decisions. He's got a lot of guidance from his dad. He's got a lot of guidance from Tim Wilkerson, but he is turning more knobs and making more decisions on that car than you realize. Very cool to see Bobby Bodie run the way in which he did. As Doug mentions, Erica Enders, she wins again. Congrats to Steve Torrance. But Mike Salinas, what great performance out of him, and he drove really well. Often people would say that, Mike Salinas, that he hasn't had that great of a year. It hasn't been driving well. I think those points may very well be true. But concerning his driving last Sunday in St. Louis, his worst light, I believe, was a 061 or 069 light. In the finals, it was a 011 in a fuel car. He drove well. The team tuned well. He just barely did not get that win with the car going near the center line, him getting out of it, cylinders going out, getting out of the groove, and Steve Torrance picking up the win. And congratulations to Matt Hagan in that New Holland funny car, new sponsor being unveiled for that race, and him getting the win. Let's take very quickly, before we get Brian on, a look at the points in NHRA competition. Top fuel, Steve Torrance leads the way. Brittany Force is just 36 back. And let's look at the rest of the top 5. It's Billy Torrance, Mike Salinas, and Justin Ashley. And I would say for anybody that is Leah Pruitt on back, they have got to make a move at Dallas. They have got to make a move coming up. I would dare to say that Doug Coletta and even Clay Milliken are out of it. If we had the classic do or done line, it sits at the 9th place right now. They are done. Funny car points. Matt Hagan leads the way. Ron Capps is second. Ron Capps is my favorite to win the championship. John Force, third. Cruz Petragon, fifth. Fourth, and fifth is J.R. Todd. Bob Tasca, talked to him Tuesday night on the Competition Plus Power Hour. He said, do not count him out. And I think when you look at funny car points, right now, the only one that's out of this situation is Blake Alexander. 9th to 1st, they're all in it, or they could definitely lose it. Keep your eye out on Funny Car. What great competition we have had all year in NHRA Funny Car. Pro Stock, it's tight. Greg Anderson leads the way. Erica is only 17 points behind. Kyle Koretsky, 97. Fourth is Dallas Glenn. Fifth, Aaron Stanfield. You have a KB Elite showdown going into the remainder of the year in Pro Stock competition. And I would say, as we look at Pro Stock, seventh on back, they're out of this. Sixth on up, they're still in it with the races that remain. And very quickly, Pro Stock Motorcycle, what a battle we've got with Steve Johnson. Angel Sampey only 17 points back. Matt Smith in third, the defending champion Eddie Krawick and Scotty Polachek rounding out the top five in Pro Stock Motorcycle points. Great competition in NHRA right now. What championship battle are you most excited about? Which one are you concerned over? Who do you think's going to win that championship or those championships? Sam, my co-host on the Competition Plus Power Hour, says spot 5 and 6 are the biggest to make an upset. Not sure which one you're talking about there. Definitely, it could be all of them just about. If don't like the racing, they can eat broccoli. Yes, eat broccoli, as Johnson has been saying. And he says, I heard Slammin' Sam makes you look good. Well, Sam, that's debatable. But I definitely think the shades do. Top Fuel 173 says the Capco boys. I definitely think Steve's going to pick up the championship in Top Fuel. Speaking of the next place in which they race, folks, the Texas Motorplex is doing drag racing right. The Stampede of Speed at the Texas Fall Nationals, that is coming up. Matter of fact, the Monday Morning Racer is in this picture. Can you find him? It's going to be an entire week of festivities at the Motorplex, kicking off with concerts, going into racing on Monday night. That's outlaw drag racing. Huge shootout Tuesday night, pro mod with like $50,000 on the line. Then you've got a pro testing session on Wednesday. There's movie screenings. There's business happenings, business development. We're all rolling into the Fall Nationals. And the payouts are back to where they were pre-COVID. There are 4 qualifying sessions. We have got, ladies and gentlemen, a national event of national events for this year. Things are looking well. Like they're back to normal in good old Texas. The Monday Morning Racer, he's going to be there. I'm going to be there all week. Looking forward to it. Stay in tune to Monday Morning Racer on Facebook, YouTube, and Twitter, as well as Instagram, as we'll be there for the action. Doug says a cattle drive in downtown and bull ride. Yes, if you can have it, it seems like the Texas Motorplex is having it. Stan asks, when is Sam going to have a show on YouTube? He does, Stan. Outlaw Performance ENT. Go search that, and you will find his show. You can ask him next time he's going to upload. Let's get the material out there, Sam. Let's get the material out there. Well, ladies and gentlemen, my PDRA picks very quickly. We'll bring Brian on in about a minute or two. He's in the studio waiting. PDRA winner, Pro Nitrous. I think the winner of the Shakedown Nationals will get it done at Gawlik, and that is Tommy Franklin. Pro Boost. I think we're going to have a comeback story. Kevin Rivenbark, I'm going out on a limb. They get something figured out. He's in a car for competition, and at Gawlik, at his home track, he wins Gawlik Motorsports Park in a Gawlik ride and still continues to hold tight on the championship. Extreme Pro Stock, I'm going JR Carr. I don't think anybody can beat him right now. JR Carr and Outlaw 632, Dylan Voss finally gets it done in 2021 and tightens up the points battle. Those are my picks right there. Very quickly, before we go to Brian, Braden Godfrey. Hey, brother, sorry I'm late. Just got in for work. Derby number 2 this weekend. Guys, check out Braden there on Facebook does some derby. He's actually put Monday Morning Racer on the car. Very cool to see that. Thank you for doing that, Braden, all the way up there in the great far land of the north, Canada. Darrell Craft, what is your position with Foley Lewis Racing? I am in charge of the social media and public relations, things of that nature, a little bit of the marketing, try to help find some sponsors. Know anybody that wants to sponsor a Top Fuel car? Give me a call. We'll get them on We'll get them on Foley Lewis. Franklin, King, Tut, Johnny. Tough, good picks right there. Top Fuel 173. American Hot Rod Entertainment. Yo, good to have you along, American Hot Rod Entertainment. And at this moment in time, folks, ladies and gentlemen, let's get Brian on. Let's talk to him about his most recent weekend in the Top Alcohol Funny Car and in general, the journey to wheeling one of these bad machines in NHRA competition. So right after this little intro, Brian Gawlik on Between the Slicks. Brian.
How you doing, sir?
Uh-oh. Can you
hear me?
Yep, there we go. There we go. We got you now, loud and clear. Brian, man, good to have you on. I've been waiting to do this for a while, actually, because, you know, many folks, they hear driver and they automatically think that's all that individual does. But no, you've done everything from crewing. I've seen you at the bottom of a Top Fuel dragster doing the bottom end, having everything drop on you and enjoying that. And here you are. You turned some wrenches on this car, obviously, and you're doing a great job as a wheelman. So very good. It's good to have you on, and dive in for folks that don't know you. Give the rundown of like height, body weight, where you're from, stage name, all that type of things. No, but clue folks into who Brian is, where you're out of, and how you got to driving a Top Alcohol Funny Car.
How long's the show tonight? We might be
right. Yes, Brian, and folks, for you all that don't know, Brian's a talker. Like the team had to come up and stop him from talking to go get the funny car body on the car at Virginia Motorsports Park. So I'll let you go, and if I feel like I gotta stop you, I'll come back on. But go.
So my name is Brian Gawlik. I drive my own Top Alcohol Funny Car. Started racing about 10 years ago, I got involved in racing about 10 years ago in 2009. I was going to a tech school, and there was a car show. Met a couple guys that had their nostalgia funny cars there, and never seen anything like it before in my life. I'm 20 years old, and I was instantly hooked. His name's Bob Rossetti. I owe a lot to him for teaching me a lot of things that I know. But it all started with, he was looking for help to make some nostalgia funny car bodies, and it kind of really flourished from there. The first winter of being involved in any sort of race car was making bodies, and the following year I got to hear the cars fire up firsthand, go to the racetrack. My first race was Virginia Motorsports Park, actually, and got to fire the cars up. He basically taught me what to do in the pits on how to start them, and that was it. And you know, we got to the top end after the car ran, and he's like, "Get in, you're driving it back." And you know, the needle was sunk. I couldn't get enough of it from that point on. Fast forward a year or two, and we're making another body, and a friend of mine, now my partner in this car, Lou Scrow, walks into the fiberglass shop, and come to find out that he lives about 2 minutes away from me. And that was on a Saturday. Sunday, I went over to his house and saw at the time he was campaigning a Top Alcohol Funny Car, and that was around 2011. And that was it. I needed to play with it, because you know, the nostalgia racing is a lot of fun, and I enjoy it, and I still enjoy it. But being young, I was very competitive, and it was missing that competition. So helping Lou go into the big show and seeing, you know, what the real deal was, I was hooked. And you know, of course everybody's going to say they want to drive it, just like I did. And it progressed to, with helping Lou and still working on the nostalgia cars, I wanted to drive. Bob Rossetti gave me the opportunity to drive his car, and that happened on a Sunday, first time, Sunday at Maple Grove. And, of course, like anybody will say, for lack of a better word, crap your pants. I double stepped the throttle, and he told me, for any reason your foot comes off the throttle, idle it down the track. So I did. And unfortunately, they closed, and I lost a chance to make another hit. A couple weeks go by, and looking for another opportunity to do it again. And unfortunately, Rossetti blew the motor up, kicked the rods out, and he basically said he's taking a break. He doesn't want to do it anymore, and just kind of recover a little bit. So, I saw my opportunity to apologize for my cat there. So there's opportunity. I saw my opportunity to possibly drive this, get pushed back for a while. Enter Rocky Perone, and been friends with him for years with Nostalgia Racing. He gave me basically the speech that he'll tell anybody. If you're willing to put in the effort, he's willing to give you the shot. And basically he told me, he's like, whoever shows up to the shop more than anybody is who's going to earn the opportunity to drive the car. And he told me, he's like, I'll get you your license and we'll go from there. So I was there 3 times a week minimum. I wasn't going to let this go. And he gave me the opportunity to get my license. I started making license passes here and there through a couple of years, or through, I'd say, about a year and a half, from Englishtown to ACO, etc., where I finally did get my license at ACO. I actually was the last person to drive a funny car of any nature down Englishtown's drag strip. Not that that means anything, but we were testing there, and that was the last time that one got to go down. So I got my license at ACO. We had some issues with the car. It was fighting me here and there, and I went from the car not wanting to hook up to it hauling ass, for lack of a better word. And I went from my fastest pass ever, which was an 801, to my next fastest pass, which was a 690, and completely jumped the 7-second range. And then as things progressed, I got my license and moved forward, and we worked on that car together pretty diligently to try to make it go faster, because there was a little bit of a nostalgia war going with guys wanting to be the first 5-second, so to speak, and with a nostalgia car. And the fastest I went in that car was a 617 at 200 and I want to say 231, before the opportunity to do what I'm doing now came into play. I was in the process of building my own nostalgia funny car, and for lack of a better word, I gave Lou a call, and we were talking about some stuff, and he's out of racing 8 years at this point. And basically I said, listen, this is what I'm looking to do, and he basically told me, it's not what you want to do. You want to go alcohol racing, then do it. And I said, I can't afford it. I can't afford to do it. I understand what it is. And he said, well, I don't know what to tell you. And then I guess some martinis got involved on his end, and he sent me a text and said, maybe we should do something. And we went out, got some beers. We got a couple steaks together, and the short end of it was, he told me, bring me a car, I'll put a motor in it. And there you have it. That was 3 years ago. Never thought I could do it without him, because even if I was able to build a car and afford it myself, I wouldn't have done it without Lou, because pretty much, I don't want to say everything, but a lot of what I do and how I do things is because of how Lou does things. And there's no variance from safety. There's no, well, that's good enough. It's either perfect or it's not. And the car doesn't leave the shop unless it's ready to race, and we're ready to go. We don't do anything half-ass. We give it everything we can. And it's not easy. This is a very difficult class for anybody, and we've been fortunate enough to be very successful in a short amount of time with what we've been doing. And the car is working for us, and a lot of that has to do with Lou. He's done it before, he's been around, and that has a lot to do with our success. The car I bought, Andy Bull. I bought my car from Andy Bull. I flew out. Well, let me back up a second here. One of his crew members told somebody that I know that he's looking to sell the car, and I had some feelers out when I was ready to buy a car, and got the call saying, "Hey, Andy's looking to possibly sell his car. You should call him." So I did, and in about a week, I flew out to Wisconsin with my fire suit and helmet. Helmet was my personal item, and my duffel bag with my fire suit was my carry-on. And I flew out there on a Thursday morning. I spent about 3 hours or so at Andy's shop, sat in the car, and I didn't fit. And I was like, well, it forces me to lose weight, so I'm going to buy it. So I did. And I gave him a deposit and flew home the same day. About, again, spent 3 hours at the shop. I was about 5.5 hours in Wisconsin total. Flew home Thursday afternoon and went back to work on Friday. We were talking here and there, and decided when I drove out there that I'm going to buy his trailer too. I mean, I needed a trailer. I had sold my tag trailer, and sorry, I got to let the cat in here in a second, but he
go ahead, because we've already got people chiming in. Let the cat out, or let the cat in. So go ahead, man. Go ahead. Brian has had a great journey and a lot of hard work to get to where he is at. And look, I really love your story, because it's you, but you've had key people help you, and it's everybody coming together and banding together, just like drag racing should be, and getting a car out there and fielding it. Not just fielding it, but y'all are competing very well for the first, I think, year out with this car in combination.
This car, I mean, we've had this car this is the third year, but the first year was definitely a learning curve for me. I never drove a pedal clutch, race car per se. I mean, everybody that drives a race car should know how to drive stick, but driving a pedal clutch, I've been around it for a long time. I helped, when I helped Lou, and Lou got out of racing, I helped Tom Fox on his alcohol dragster. When you're around these cars for so long, you kind of just understand how they work. And I remember the first time getting in the car thinking I have all these questions, and I asked Lou the same thing, and he goes, "Shut up and drive it." And I did. I just got in there and just shut myself down and tried to stop thinking as much as I could and go there and do it. And it's not easy. There's a lot going on, and the more runs you make, things become less apparent that you're even doing them. You kind of just go into machine mode. But there's nothing like it. I mean, there's nothing like pulling up to the line, 7,000 RPMs, dumping the clutch and going through and shifting at 10,000 RPMs, and going through and pulling the chutes. It's definitely a dream come true. I never thought in a million years that I'd be doing it. And I understand what it takes, and I understood what it takes, but now that I'm doing it, it's a lot. I mean, it's every weekend we come home, the car gets torn down to the crankshaft. We inspect everything, put it back together, because I'm the low budget guy. I really am. I've learned how to stretch a dollar and make things work, and help from a lot of people, specifically, a couple sponsors, Kenny Rex Equipment, Jeff Davis, Jeff Zales. They painted the car for me after my first year when I tagged some 4 cones at Charlotte. And thanks, Joe. It's a lot of support from those around you. My girlfriend that takes care of my 2 kids. These last 6 weeks in a row, I've been at a race. We've been looking at what way the schedule is right now, and 6 weekends in a row at tracks that are prepped. It's an opportunity for me to learn as a driver. It's an opportunity for us to learn the car a lot better. Just doesn't give us the chance to forget anything. Or just every week we're at it and chipping away. And this 6 weeks, I think we have improved a lot. 3 weeks ago we were at the Maple Grove rescheduled points race. We went to the final. Charlotte, we went to the semifinals, and then of course Virginia going to the finals again, up against Sean. So it's a lot of fun, but it's a lifestyle. This really isn't easy. You know, I was working for a landscape company for 10 years, and you know, in the mix of before this last six races started, decided to go out on my own. And you know, it's the wrong time to go out on my own, but I figured, you know, if I'm going to do this, there's no better time to just do it. And that goes back to Lou. If you're going to do it, just do it. Don't screw around. Don't waste time. You know, follow your dream and do it. And without him, I couldn't do this. This is, you know, I owe a lot to him for sure.
Well, man, glad to hear that you're living out a dream. You definitely are doing it, and the team has had some recent success. Most recent, maybe not most notably, definitely great making that final round at Maple Grove. Let's take a round by round look at your Virginia Motorsports race that was a Division I regional. And ladies and gentlemen, you can see the whole race on the Monday Morning Racer YouTube channel. It's titled Alcohol Funny Car, Northeast Division number 1, NHRA Top Alcohol Funny Car competition. You can see the entire race. You can also see the longer variety, the dragsters, on the Monday Morning Racer YouTube channel as well. But at this moment, we're going to take a round by round look at Brian's day in his Top Alcohol Funny Car. Qualified third, great qualifying spot, but this field had some heavy hitters in it, and you went toe-to-toe with them and performed really well. So let's take a look at round 1. How can you not like Top Alcohol Funny Car? Oh, I love it. Well, great first round matchup. You get the round win. And talk to us about, yes, round 1, but Virginia Motorsports Park as a track. And even though it's so good, maybe even arguably the best surface in the country,
Absolutely.
that actually makes it even more challenging to tune in the case for these cars.
Yes. Well, the night before that, we discovered that we had some issues with qualifying when we heard a couple pistons, and basically I decided I was just going to re-ring the whole motor right there and then. We went into that round knowing that, you know, we had lane choice against Dan by 1/1000th of a second, and you know, we're like, well, we just need to go up there and repeat, and you know, we need to put up a respectable run and, you know, do my job on the line and, you know, see what happens. You know, going down the track gives us data, gives us information, and that's all we were after. You know, we're out there to have fun. We're out there to enjoy ourselves. And, you know, there's no more fun than going down the track. We spend all this time and effort to go there, and we want to spend 5.5 seconds on the track. We don't want to spend 20. And, you know, it kind of sounds ridiculous when you think of it that way, but 5.5 seconds is a, you know, enjoyable time, of course. So we run the 5:55, and, you know, prior to this event, that was my career best. I pull up to the line, you know, swap feet, and, you know, I hit my shifts, and I wasn't 100% sure because the way the sun was hitting us that if I saw a wind light or not. And, you know, I never heard Dan or saw Dan anywhere. But you know, I did fortunately leave on Dan. Dan is probably one of the best leavers in the class. You know, he's, for 69 years old, that man is an impressive person. But it was an honor to race him. And unfortunately, a 3-cent fuse popped inside his computer box, and that's why he went dead there on the line, unfortunately. But you know, we were able to make it to the end before him, and, you know, get the round win. We got back from that run, and, you know, the car was happy. We were like, okay, things look better. Let's see what happens on the next round.
Speaking of the next round, we've got that queued up. We'll go ahead and take a look at round 2. It got interesting, ladies and gentlemen. It was everything you want funny car to be, whether it's, no matter what the funny car combination is, you want a little pedal, and we got it. It might not have been the fastest, but it was certainly exhilarating to see you two guys try to pedal it out. You got the win over DJ Cox there in the second round.
Yeah, that was fun. Fun on a different level. I mean, going fast and quick, sometimes it's boring, believe it or not. And when not much happens, just going A to B, you just go quick, and then you get to the top end and you don't realize how fast it went. That was interesting. I swapped feet and immediately shook the tires. I pedaled it once and it shook again, and I said, well, that's it. Lou always told me, don't pedal it. It's, bad things can happen, and, getting more experience here and there. And I just, naturally you just want to get after it again. And I did, and it just shook. So I said, that's it. It's over. And if you notice and you watch the video, if you guys go back and watch it at some point, I stopped, and then I hit it a third time, because in that split second, I realized I don't see or hear him. And I'm like, I have to get after it again. And when I did, it planted, and it picked the front left wheel up, I'd say easily 8 to 10 inches. It bit out there hard and took off. And, I got through the top end, and I saw the wind light again, and I'm like, I can't believe this. I'm going to the finals. And this time it was, an interesting. I never had to pedal the car before, never attempted to pedal the car before. And, that was an interesting round. Me and DJ talked afterwards, and, he said he had pretty much the same issue, except when he got on it the second time, it pointed him right to the wall hard. And he said by the time he got squared back up facing down track, he saw I was halfway, and he said it was over. It wasn't worth it. So it was definitely exciting. And, all things considered, it was, I'm grateful that the first time I got to pedal the car, I got a win, but it was interesting for sure.
That field at that particular Division I event, it coming right after the heels of the ZMAX Carolina Nationals, and Virginia Motorsports Park, in essence, only being, 4 hours up the road, you had some heavy hitters that are well known in the top alcohol funny car class participating there, such as DJ Cox. But your final round opponent, Sean Bellemere, the Killer Bees, the Bartone brothers, I almost feel like they're the empire of top alcohol funny car competition, and they are stiff competition. Right now they're in a championship battle nationally for sure. But what are your thoughts? You're going up against someone like that in the final round, and also just with all the success that your team has had, that final round appearance, the semifinal round appearance, which was Bellemere in that one at ZMAX, and now you're facing him again, but in the finals at Virginia Motorsports Park, with a track that, as things were cooling off and the sun setting, was getting better and better, arguably.
A lot of guys can go up there and say that they race in the other car. We have the way we run our car, the best way to put it is, it doesn't matter who's over there. We run our car the way we run our car. We're going to run our lane, and we're going to run our race. I'm going to go up there and try to cut the best light I can, and, launch the car to, set my RPMs correctly and hit my shifts and get to the other end, and, whatever it takes. I don't go up there worrying about who's next to me. I shake the guy's hand. I say, have a good race, a safe race, see you at the top end. And that's it. I go into this, we're just testing at ACO mode, and try to clear my mind and just forget about everything. And I do that with every race, every round. And it's, some guys can do that, some guys can't. We don't have enough data, we don't have enough information, and we're probably not smart enough to know how to race the other car. Thanks, Chris. We go up there and just do our thing. Like I said, we're there to have fun, and for us is just going down the track. And if we get to do it again, so be it. If we don't, well, congratulations to the guy next to me, and hope they go to the end. Sean is unbelievable. That's a long one. Sean at the Killer Bees, they are the best. You look back 10 years ago, the best was Frank, and they are the car to beat when you go to a race. And when I line up next to them, it's a privilege. But same boat when we start the car up, I don't care who's over there. I just do my thing and enjoy the moment because, that's why I'm there. I'm there to have fun. And, there, that's the way I will run my car probably for the rest of the time I have a car. One day I'll get Sean, I'm sure. But who knows? If I don't, so be it. I get to race him. I get to race the best. He's an animal on the tree. That car is just unbelievable. And, it puts up numbers that you don't think are possible until they do it. And you're like, okay, so I guess the track's that good. So final round against Sean, we went up there, the sun's going away, and, we're thinking to ourselves, well, what do we do? And we go up there and we made a couple adjustments, but I think the track just got so good so fast and we missed the mark. We went up there and I'm sure you'll show the video if you don't, but I shook the tires one more time and I tried to pedal it, but this time I wasn't able to get it. Same thing happened to Sean just a little bit further down track, and he was able to get it hook up and take off and still went up and put up a stellar number.
Well, man, look, congrats to you and your team doing so well. It's important having semifinal round appearances and having final round appearances. And I understand you want to win. Who doesn't want to win? But your team is definitely performing admirably. And I know Stan chimed in. Looks like here recently you're 9th in points nationally. If that's the most recent update, it might be better. I know they don't update that quickly, so it might in fact be better now. The latest word on where you're standing.
I'm sitting 7th nationally, sitting 3rd in the regional points, and I'm actually sitting 1st in the Jegs All-Star right now for next year.
All right, awesome, stellar. And look at that. And one more race to go, if I'm not mistaken. Is that correct?
Yes. So next weekend, Cecil County is the rescheduled ACO race. We're down there. We got DJ Cox. We got Pomponio. I'm pretty sure John Headley's coming as long as his leg's feeling better. Josh Haskett's coming, and myself. I'm not sure if anybody else, maybe Melinda Green King. We'll see. We're hoping to have a full field. A lot going on with other races, of course. So,
sure.
Dallas is the same weekend. But I'm also, I'm actually going racing this weekend, driving a nostalgia funny car for the Time Bomb Racing, going to have some fun down at MIR for the Bunny Burkett tribute race. So, this will make, with this weekend coming up and the following weekend, 8 weekends in a row, I get to drive a funny car. So it's been a really fun 2 months.
You can't have a bad weekend driving a funny car. I mean, I haven't been able to drive one yet, but I just imagine that you can't have a bad weekend driving a funny car. So
Justin Taylor, every time I see him, he works on the Bartone car, Taylor Motorsports. He always comes up to me and I say hi to him. I've become friends over the years, and I say, how you doing? He said, pretty good. And I said, let's go have some fun. He's like, it's not every day you get to drive a funny car, but when you do, it's a good day.
That's right. That's right. I have people ask me all the time at the drag strip, like, how you doing today? I'm like, man, I'm at a drag strip. I'm having a good day. A rough day at the drag strip is still a good day.
Better day than anywhere else.
Normal day for sure. Stan, definitely a loyal watcher. Thank you for that, Stan. He asks what you think can be done to get close to 16 cars at every national event, or are those days long done for Top Alcohol Funny Car? What's your thoughts there, Brian?
I don't think it's a long shot. I think it's tougher now with a bunch of these other sanctions and these other races coming out, and there's different opportunities for people, and everybody has their reasons and budgets and whatnot to run certain races. But to get 16 cars at every national event, it's going to be tough. I mean, there's definitely the cars out there. Everybody will always say, oh, it's the qualifying money, it's this and that. There's not enough money out there. I'm one to tell you that the money's not the reason I'm going there. I'm going there because I want to do this. The money makes it a little easier, of course, but it's you got to want to do this. And I think people not going to the drag strip and finding a love for racing or whatnot is more of an issue than whatnot. These keyboard racers that say this and that, but they've never been to a drag strip to see it and fall in love with something. I've never seen a drag strip till I was 20 years old. I wasn't raised around racing. I wasn't raised to do this. It's just something that I fell in love with. And people need to go out and see stuff, and if you want to do it, you got to do it. To get more racers out there, more publicity for us, more exposure for us would make things easier, to potentially land a bigger sponsor or get some help, because it's been tough in the recent years. But this year, NHRA, Lucas Oil, they've been giving us a lot of exposure. You yourself, giving us more exposure. Going to the race down in Virginia and recording, like stuff like that. We need stuff like that to help promote what we're doing. And Cecil County, we have a whole bunch of sponsors through DJ Cox, and to upping the purse to get more cars to come out to try to give us incentive to have some more racing and to have some more fun. We haven't been to Cecil County with the alcohol cars in 3 or 4 years. And it'll be the first time they're coming back there. So I'm excited for that. And I'm hoping that brings in, a bunch of fans and brings in, a bunch of people to see it. And, who knows, we don't know who's all coming. There's no published list of cars coming to regional races. Some people know, some people don't. I'm sure if I inquired, I could probably find out. But, it's nice to show up and say, hey, we got 9 cars here. Cool. We get to race. We got to earn our spot. We got to earn our place, and we get to go some rounds. There's not going to be any buys. There's not going to be any singles. You got to earn every way to the end. Exposure, I think, is the biggest thing to get more cars coming out. A lot of guys feel, what's the word? A lot of guys feel like we've been treated like the redheaded stepchild of racing. And we get.
Hey, that's me.
Well, I wasn't going to say anything, but it's we need the exposure. We need to be shown that this stuff is as good to watch as the pros.
Yes.
A lot of people argue that we are a pro class. In comparison, you look at what we have to do to make these cars run. Compared to what they have to do. It's pretty close. We have a lot of work to do. They don't have the RPM. They have the raw power. We have RPM that just doesn't do good things to parts. Right. So we have to, we have a lot of work ahead of us to make it work. Our clutch has to come out every run. We check the bearings every run. We don't have to pull our rods and pistons out, but, let's hope not. That would be not the greatest thing. But, we just need to get more exposure. We need to get more people interested and, more people talking about us.
Definitely. And that's one reason why I went to Virginia Motorsports Park, because I had the opportunity. I had the funding, you could say, thanks to strutmasters.com. Folks, if your active suspension has failed and you need to have it converted to a passive suspension, strutmasters.com is your solution. All right, there's my promo. But I decided I'm not going to go to St. Louis. I can go 2 hours up the road from Roxborough, North Carolina to Virginia Motorsports Park, and I can catch some great drag racing action and, yes, give a little bit more exposure to top alcohol funny car, top alcohol dragster that is lacking in exposure, and put it on my YouTube channel where hopefully more folks can see it. And I know that there was NHRA.TV available, but frankly, I felt the camera angles of what I saw were terrible. Mm-hmm. And if that's one of those elements that I even see Cecil, they seem to already be doing a decent job of it. But I don't care who it is, someone take up the mantle and put the gumption in necessary and promote these regionals the way they ought to be promoted. Some great drag racing with the alcohol classes, but there were some beautiful cars in the other classes to check out and to see going down the strip. So, folks, if you're near Maryland, get to Cecil County. I'm going to be in Texas, so I won't be there, but get to Cecil. Yes, Stan, that is Halsey's track. Darrell Kraft asks, what would his ideal budget be? I want to answer that, Mr. Kraft, from a Mr. Kraft, and that's unlimited. That would be the ideal budget. But in all reality, what does it look like, Brian?
It's, I often think to myself, man, if I hit the lottery, what would I do? And I'd still have an alcohol car. I would probably go fuel racing, but I would still have an alcohol car. You could look at, you don't have to spend a lot of money to go fast. You just have to spend some time and, some effort and learn. And, ideally, a lot of guys argue, up and down what it costs to run them, and it ranges from everybody from, 1,500 to 2,500 a pass. It depends on what you're doing with, what size rig you have to, how hard you want to run and, what kind of spare parts you want to have in your trailer. There's a lot of variables. Like I said, I'm one of the low budget guys for absolutely sure. And, I don't have a spare motor in my car, in my trailer. I don't have a spare set of heads. I got a bunch of spare parts like pistons, some good used rods that, I took out that have some life left, but I don't have a ton of spare parts like a lot of these guys. And, I got to race cautiously and carefully on every lap we go. We can go out there and we can lean on it, and, we are learning where we can go and what we can do. But, your budget really based on how much of a, how fast you want to go quick, in a short amount of time. We spent 3 years to break into the 550s, and, we're finally there. And, it's not easy. It's a lot of information, and got a lot of help from a lot of people. DJ Cox was a big help to us, in teaching us some stuff. And, he helped us at the end of last year. We went testing after this Virginia race where, we went up and we smoked the tires 3 times in a row, and we were just completely clueless, lost on what we were doing. And DJ, offered to come up, and we went testing at ACO, and, 13 races later, 1 year later, we make it to the final at the same race. It takes a lot of time more than money, and work at the shop to, get a car to work well. And, yes, it takes money, but, I'd say you need to allot somewhere around, $8,000 a race, minimum. And that's, you got to think about hotel rooms and travel costs, fuel to get there, the consumables in what the car takes. You're putting spark plugs in every run. You're changing the oil every run. There's certain things that you can save money on here and there, and there's certain things that I don't believe you should. But, everybody runs their operations different. And I'm very fortunate to, again, have Lou to, you just do it the right way or no way. That's it. We just don't go if we're not ready. So I'd say somewhere around 8 to 10,000, you need minimum. I'd love to have, as you said, the unlimited budget, but, maybe one day we'll see what happens.
We'll see what happens. Well, Brian, look, my last question for you, give you the floor. Talk to us about this beautiful funny car, who painted it, Rex, the team, everybody involved, and just say thank you, man.
Well, that's my car. Again, we bought that off Andy Bowl. First year out, it was all red just from Andy. And, we didn't really have much on it. We had the Rex equipment, Kenny Rex from Rex Equipment and Construction up in Schnecksville, Pennsylvania. He helped Lou with his car. I became good friends with him, outside of the racing world, and did a lot of business with him. And when we decided that we were going to do this, I reached out to him, and, he said he was on board. He's the big reason that I'm able to travel as much as I am and, go to all these races. I owe it a lot to Kenny. But the first year out at Charlotte was our last race. The 2-wide race, or the normal 2-wide race. I took out 4 cones. We were starting to get a lot more aggressive with the clutch, and I'd mowed down 4 cones from the left lane. Broke the front end up, and had to do some repair work, and reached out to Jeff Zales and Jeff Davis, Specialized Autocraft. Good friends, great friends, really. met them in the nostalgia racing world. They painted the Super Camaro that I was driving for Rocky Perone. They painted the Frantic Ford that Rocky Perone owned that I got to drive once at Island. And I reached out to him and said, hey, could you, any chance we could do something, maybe, add some, repair the red and add some lines to it to break the red up and, do some things. And, when it was all said and done, yes, it's a carbon fiber body. When it was all said and done, I come to drop the car off, and Jeff Davis goes to me. He's like, so you're stuck on red, huh? And I said, no, why? He offered me, he basically said to me, he's like, whatever you want, I'm going to paint it for you. And, we went back and forth. They fixed all the, a bunch of work and made it nice and smooth. And we spent probably about a week coming up with designs back and forth, and settled on colors and, whatnot. And the idea was something that looked aggressive, yet had a professional look, that if a name, a sponsor wanted to step up and, help out, we could take the Gawlik and scroll off the side. We can, move some things around and, fill it in without ruining the paint. Jeff and Jeff are great guys. They really are. They knocked it out of the park. The paint is just unbelievable. And, it's not a wrap for sure. And, so my crew guys, I got, of course, Lou, he tunes it. Tom Savage, Charlie Gray, Bob Toth. Bob Toth, he normally drives the nostalgia car that I'm going to be driving this weekend. I've been racing with him since I started with the nostalgia stuff with Bob Rossetti. And, he said he wanted to come help us. And, I trust him like, he's my brother, because I've been around him forever. I learned a lot from him too. He's 70 years old, and he can run circles around some of these kids that are running around these days. Tom Savage. I went to tech school with him, believe it or not. He was one of the kids that Bob Rossetti found when he found me at the tech school, and we became friends and, stuck together. And he moved back home to Ohio, and he was helping John Bojack, many years ago when I was helping Lou on his car. And then he fell off the face of the earth. He got rid of Facebook. He got married, and I actually was concerned that he died, believe it or not. That's the running joke. But he reappeared after he saw my name on the side of the car, and then found out it was me. And I've been trying to find him when we put this car together, because I trust him. He's just one of those guys that, you can go up and you can trust. And, I know he's been around and I can teach him something. And when I tell him to do something, how I want it done, I don't have to think about it. And the best part about it is when he doesn't know, he asks the question, and you can't teach that. There's no ego with any of my guys. They, if they're not sure, they ask. And if I don't know, I ask, because when somebody starts assuming they know something, that's when people get hurt. And you can't have that around these cars, because people will get hurt. Charlie Gray, another kid I went to tech school with. I didn't really know him that well, believe it or not, back in, the time in the tech school. But Tom knew him pretty well. And we were at the Maple Grove points race that got rained out. And Charlie came up and, he hung out and he fell in love with it. And now Charlie is, as much as he wants to be, he's on board for any race he wants to go to. Having those two guys my age, younger guys, Bob's 70, we want him to kind of take it easy and, enjoy himself and do the easier stuff. I don't want to hurt him. A lot of things can happen when you're up there, but he's not afraid to do, he's not afraid to do anything, when it comes to working on these cars, whether it's I need him to rip the transmission apart or whatever the case is. But I'd rather have the young guys do it, let Bob enjoy himself and have some fun. And, he's the floater, so to speak. My mother, that's Anita, she commented about Bob driving in his sleep. There was a video I did at Virginia when Bob was sitting there, and I couldn't tell if he was sleeping or not until after the fact, but it looked like he was sleep driving. It's a funny little video if you want to check it out on my page. But again, we're there to have fun. We enjoy our company. When we're not racing, we go out, we get something to eat together, we hang out, and that's, we're there to have fun. And without my guys, I really wouldn't, I owe them a lot. They bust their ass to make sure this stuff works and, to keep me safe. Another guy I want to give a shout out to, his name is Ronnie. He's local to us. He doesn't come to the racetrack, but he comes and helps us at the shop, me and Lou, because Charlie lives in Virginia. Tom lives in Ohio. and me and Lou live right around the corner from each other. So, for the most part, when we're back at the shop, it's just me and him. So Ronnie, he's been around a long time. He's got some old hot rods, and he comes over and he does the stuff that like cleaning the tin work, wiping the chassis down, making it look good. All that stuff. So that when we come to the racetrack, we have a presentable looking car. I thank him a lot for that because I don't have the time. I got a normal job. I got 2 kids. I got a girlfriend. I got a house to take care of and a race car that consumes every other ounce of time I have. And I wouldn't change it for the world.
Well, when you go to Virginia Motorsports Park after the race, everyone has to go to the Italian restaurant just around the corner.
Giuseppe's.
And yes, it is a stellar Italian restaurant owned by actual Italians, and they have actual Italian food. I had the lobster ravioli. It was great. But everybody got excited about ice cream with your crew, but I did pipe up and say, well, sprinkles are for winners. And Charlie Gray, and folks, go subscribe to his YouTube channel. He's got some great behind-the-scene footage with this particular team, Charlie Gray. They're on YouTube. I hope you all do get those sprinkles at Cecil County coming up for top alcohol competition there, Brian. Well, look, man, it has been great to have you on the show. It's been a long time coming, and glad it all worked out and have the footage and the success you and the team are having.
Thank you.
And hope you all go out, get the trophy, and get ice cream with sprinkles on it from Cecil.
We'll see what happens. It's nothing better than ice cream. We always like to enjoy our ice cream.
Who doesn't, man? Who doesn't? Well, man, look, enjoy the rest of your evening. Thank you for being on Between the Slicks.
Thank you. Thanks for having me.
All right, folks, we're going to continue and move on. We do have a pre-recorded interview from Amanda Busick on her Hot Rod Drag Week 2021 experience. So she has got perspective from NHRA Camping World Professional Drag Racing to now something so extreme as in Drag Week 2021. And we're going to hear from her on what she thinks of that. And honestly, Amanda has been getting a lot of great motorsports experience. She's doing so much. Like this very weekend, she's actually at Sebring for SRO Motorsports, GT America, GT this, that, so on. But it has been fabulous to see the exposure she's got in motorsports. So it's definitely worthwhile getting her perspective on the world of motorsports. That interview now. Amanda Busick. Well, look, it's so glad to have you in this pre-recorded session on Between the Slicks. And, well, you have been expanding your motorsports portfolio for the last several years. Many folks may not know it, but Formula E, there's like the Ferrari Challenge. I've bumped into you at Virginia International Raceway with GT America, part of GT World. And you're even in South Florida right now for one of those type of events.
Yeah, so we have a SRO America, which is the former Pirelli GT World Challenge. We have our penultimate event in Sebring this weekend. So got down into South Florida here yesterday. Already got my Cuban coffee for the morning. But yeah, no, it's been a super surprising, truly, year and season. And it's cool to, I don't want to say challenge yourself, but to add new stuff to the roster. It just makes me go back into my love of research and looking through different industries and stuff that it's a constant growth and learning. So it's been really fun. I had just a fan on Instagram send me a message one time that said, "You're like the Bo Jackson of motorsports." So I don't know if that's a compliment, but it definitely I got a big laugh out of it.
Well, Bo knows, and apparently Amanda does as well. And look, it's far more than motorsports. It's interesting when you look at your career. Like, I think the earliest YouTube video that at least I have found of you is some like invitational charity golf event.
Probably.
that you're out with the old TV thing you had, I believe, with a college friend, and that rolled into college sports and now motorsports,
Yeah.
mainly the NHRA. But you got to do something here recently that's on my list that I think any drag racing purist is like, I've got to do that. I've got to experience that. And that is Hot Rod Magazine Drag Week 2021. So you've been, I think, on several different ends of the spectrum now. You've been at NHRA Camping World Professional Drag Racing, and you have also experienced Drag Week. And they are completely two different animals, though they're still within that same species, if you will, of drag racing. So right off the bat, what was it like getting the phone call, or what was it like working out the deal to go do Drag Week?
Well, logistically, it was crazy because in my mind, I'm like, wait, we're going to go 1,100 miles in 4 days. And then I have to be at Road America on the front side of it. I need to be at Watkins Glen on the back side of it. Luckily, it was a drag week that was right in the Midwest. So it worked out perfect. I actually got off of a broadcast at Road America and drove to Grand Rapids for Martin, Michigan. So that was, you get off air at 5, and then 5 hours later, I find myself in Michigan to kick off Drag Week. But as you said, I'm happy to hear it's on your list. I think it should be on everyone's list. I truly went in not knowing what to expect. In my research, I watched several videos and kind of documentary-esque kind of stuff on YouTube just to get familiar with the format. And I was absolutely blown away just by the passion walking into US 131 that morning and just seeing all the cars and everyone ready to take the strip before the sun even was coming up. Like, it was just that, like, this experience was about to kick off that you had no idea what to get ready for. But what I'll say is, if when describing it to friends, it's almost like drag race meets endurance race meets almost like a rally race, although you come back to the same place you started, but you have to go through checkpoints. So it's obviously the game. The name of the game is lowest ET, the average of all the tracks. However, I would say the actual real success is surviving. And those were the storylines and the people that we got to come across all week, was just people trying to survive and making it from track to track on that 1,100-mile journey. But it was one for the books, and one I hope I get to be a part of every year going forward, if David will have me.
Yeah, I feel that, drag racing since its inception has been measured in a mile, a half mile, a quarter mile, eighth mile, even, I dare say, 10th mile for all of those that don't like going beyond and below the quarter mile. But the drag week is the closest thing that drag racing has to Le Mans, I would say. It is a true endurance race.
It is.
With drag racing, because it is not just about getting down the strip and back to your pit. It's about getting down the strip quickly, safely, without the wear and tear, and then putting it on the street.
Yep. And
getting to the next track.
Oh yeah, I mean, you see second pro mods going down the highway. It's absurd.
Right. It is insane. I mean, obviously you've got the guys that they are in effect racing their daily.
Yeah.
But you've got the guys who, it's tube chassis, fiberglass front end, carbon fiber. Yeah. You should not be driving this thing down the road. There is no air conditioning. It is not comfortable. But doggone it, we're going to have the title of the fastest street car in the world. And it's all about that pride that I've done this and I've accomplished this over not just a quarter mile, but when you add it all together, probably, I don't know, 1,500 miles as many times they're down the strip and going from track to track.
Well, and then you're also battling elements, right? So I remember the first night when we went we were from Michigan to Ohio. There was weather on the way, and it was, I wish I could remember the competitor's name. He was in the Ultimate Iron. category, which is kind of the second down from the ultimate, which would be your 6-second pro mods. So also a very modified car. But the funny part is he was going down the highway. It started raining, so he had to roll the windows up. Well, then it was fogging up the windshield. So he took a DeWalt fan and was using heat from the transmission to defog his windows just to make it down the road. It was so like genius and hilarious. But that's the testament of what happens during this week. So you're exactly right. It is. I love the comparison to Le Mans, because even when we got into Norwalk, I was in the hotel parking lot, and I had gone out and got pizza and had some leftover pizza. I'm like, oh, I'll eat this at the track tomorrow. And I saw a couple of guys underneath the hood of, I think it was a Fox body Mustang with, they had the lights on their head. And I'm like, oh man, these guys are going to be out here all night. So I went over just to kind of see what was going on, handed him my pizza. And I was telling one of the workers at Motor Trend, I was telling him the story the next morning. And sure enough, if we weren't in the lanes, as I had literally just told the story, the guys come over like, thank you so much for the pizza. Like, it kept us going. And I'm like, this is real. But that's what happens. You see cars on the side of the road. You see cars working in the parking lot, and it becomes a community effort. No one is alone in that battle. There are people willing and ready to help. I remember we were in Indianapolis, and Joe Barry, he needed a rear end part that was very, very, very rare. He's like, there's no way that anyone's going to have it out here. Actually, he had chased down Richie Crampton to see if potentially he had the piece at his shop that was semi close by to the Indianapolis drag strip. And I just remember, I'm like, well, Joe, let me just take it to David. Let's, just put an announcement out. And sure enough, there was another racer on property that had what he needed for him to get to the next strip. But it's a really unique experience, and absolutely, if it's not on your list, put it on your list. I would love to be able to drive in it. I don't know if I wouldn't want to take anyone's spot, but if it can ever open up to where I could go through the experience along with people, it's pretty. I can see why people do it year in, year out.
How would you describe the people that are involved in it? When we look at NHRA, Camping World Drag Racing, it has tacked onto it professional.
Sure.
Who are these people that are doing the drag week from your perspective? Is it professional? Is it purist? Is it amateur? Is it something like that all combined? What is the nature of those drivers?
It's all of that. It's absolutely all of that. I was hired by eBay Motors to kind of help out on some content while on site, and it just kind of worked out that I also got to help David along with the live stream that was not planned. But we kept just finding so many great storylines that to be able to share to people watching, it was just almost a thing that these stories had to get out. There was just so much stuff going on. But I interviewed, obviously, the Alex Taylors of the world. Alex, if you're not familiar, she's a young up-and-coming superstar, almost rock star. She was crushing numbers this during Drag Week, ripping off her personal best in a car that they had just brought out. So it was fun crossing paths with her. Anyone to Dave Schroeder, he's the guy with that 6-second pro mod. But the cool start, when you get down to the nitty gritty of one of my favorite stories of the week, was a couple, Rick and Jackie Steinke. They're out of, I think they're in the New Jersey area. But the funny part is it's a whole family affair for them. They actually met at a drag strip, and Jackie's dad did not think that Rick was good enough for his daughter. But he ended up winning that battle, and now Dad was out there racing his car. Her brother was racing his car. Jackie was there. Rick was there. Her license plate says Mrs. Honk, and he's known in the community as Honk if parts fall off. But just to see them go through it together, and they had some transmission issues for Jackie's car heading into the weekend, so they were battling from day one. So you experience the emotions that people are going through. It's you go back to that surviving kind of mentality. They're up until 2:00 in the morning and still having to get from drag strip to drag strip. So it can be very daunting, but it's one of those things from the pain comes the gain kind of thing. But I randomly found they were heading out. There were brothers from Chicago, probably I'd say in their mid-30s. The older brother happened to just, he said that he was able to pay off some debt and bought the car, and has no radio, no air conditioning, just a gutted car that they were taking strip to strip. And I can only imagine the stories that they're going to be able to tell later in life of being able to share that together. And it seemed like that's exactly what part of the mission was. And I will say, though, and I would, anyone that sees this, please go to my Facebook and check out this story, because my favorite story of the week. And this gentleman, along with another guy on property, ended up winning the Spirit of Drag Week. But there was a guy named Pepsi Joe, as he's affectionately known. He has Parkinson's, and on the recommendation of his wife, decided that he was going to do Drag Week before he couldn't. And when I tell you that this guy became the theme of Drag Week, he had his VW Gasser Bug decked out in Pepsi. He walks around with a Pepsi cup all day long, just the biggest smile on your face. But that is who I looked for when I got to the track every day. And I wanted to see, how his drive went, how he was doing. I ended up actually crossing him on the road, and I almost wrecked myself to make sure that Joe knew that we had found Joe on the road. So it became a thing, Pepsi Joe. But yeah, no, what a incredible story of resilience, or just the courage to be able to do it. And those are things that you experience at Drag Week, and that's why it's worth making it out for.
It's interesting how you've got NHRA. They are testing the limits in the distance they are at the quickest and fastest that they can possible. And yet Drag Week is testing it at the longest in drag racing
It
that's
really
out
is
there.
beautiful. Yeah, I mean, it's great that it's once a year.
Yes,
I don't know if people would want to do that to themselves more than once a year. But I can see, and it's fun, it is cool seeing people as you said, there are the daily drivers, but there are also people out there that are also testing themselves and new builds. And I mean, it runs the gamut. I mean, you can see anything from, a 55 Chevy to, your stock Ford Mustang right off the line of last year. So it just, it just depends on what someone likes to do.
And look, just as with drag racing on so many levels, you can find your place in Drag Week and participate. Again, though, it's grueling. I said Le Mans earlier. I think it could be drag racing's Dakar rally. If you're not familiar with Dakar, it's like the most insane off-road race in the world out there, ladies and gentlemen. But
I think add to that, and I just to get this point in, because I think I hate the comment or the discussion of everyone has this like opinion that motorsports are dying or motorsports are down. And this past year, I've been able, as you were mentioning earlier, I've been able to kind of dip into so many different things, and I am very optimistic about the future of motorsports. I see so many young kids involved. I was mentioning Alex Taylor earlier. She started doing Drag Week when she was 16 years old. But I just see from across the gamut, obviously in drag racing, I know you're big fans of watching what Bobby Bodie is pulling off, and just the stars that we have coming through on that side. Even on the sports car side, there's a lot of younger kids getting involved in this, and actually I'm not worried. I think they have it. I love to see the enthusiasm. I love to see what impression this continues to have on people, and I think we're at a great place for the industry across the spectrum.
Right, and it amazes me the individuals who say those type of things, that motorsports in general is waning instead of waxing, or especially NHRA drag racing is circling the drain. Those type of individuals, they fail to realize that motorsports has hit crises before and come through it. And literally the only crisis that has stopped motorsports was World War II. That was it. It was put on hiatus because the entire world was in war effort, whether for evil or righteousness. But nonetheless, that's the only thing that has stopped it. It has come through oil crises. It has come through trade crisis. It has come through just about everything. And yes, changed and evolved, but I agree with you. It has a bright future. And in particular with Drag Week, do you think it will in time? Because it's still rather young when you look at it in the motorsports world compared to obviously Le Mans, Dakar, NHRA Championship professional drag racing. Do you think it has the potential to be recognized on the world stage along with those type of races?
Yeah, so I mean, this was the 16th running. They did take the year off last year with COVID, and I would say it's stronger than ever. From a standpoint of just being there for the first time, I think that there's also even further opportunities of brand activations. I think there could be, we went into Byron, Illinois, and the fans in Byron were insane. As we were pulling into the track, there were mile-long cars just trying to get in there on the spectator side. And for those guys to, have fans in the stands watching what they're doing, as well as coming by and talking about their car or seeing, what they're up to. I think it's, I do. I think it already has its place. I mean, I was looking, I didn't really know from the YouTube side of it, but David and his team, they were pulling crazy numbers on their stream day in, day out. And it was people from all over the world. I had popped on there a couple times, and I would end up getting messages from people. And I think I chatted back and forth with a gentleman from Iran, just asking questions on a couple of cars that were there. And I was trying to track down information for him. But no, I think it is in its own niche, has already probably a global space and recognition. And I would imagine as the word just continues to get out, it is pretty organic, right? It doesn't go through all of the promotion because they don't need it. It sells out in 5 minutes. They put the link up, and the participants are already selected within 5 minutes. So it's pretty incredible the operation that they have going on, and I don't see that slowing down anytime soon.
Obviously, here on Between the Slicks, we talk a lot of NHRA drag racing, though I do attempt to pride myself on having the most diverse talk show that is out there and wide range in drag racing with Southeast Gasser Association, NHRA, PDRA, having Brian on later tonight in the live portion of this from the Lucas Oil Drag Racing Series, you representing Drag Week, but do have to ask, what are some things that NHRA at even the Camping World level could learn from Drag Week and implement, if anything at all?
I think what I took from the week is I've been with the property for 6 years, and sometimes I don't want to say that you just get in a routine, but I know Antron's story, I know Brittany's story, I know Matt's story, I know Leah's story, and sometimes we take those things for granted. And I think and you guys may have even noticed this in the last couple weeks, but what I have really started to challenge myself on again is to just remind myself that sometimes this audience could be meeting these drivers for the first time. So what can I add in there that could be part of their storytelling? And that's what I took from Drag Week is as much as and obviously especially in Drag Week, the car is typically a reflection of the individual, but they're also individuals, and they have stories, and they have reasons why this is a passion for them. They have reasons of what they're battling or why it means so much. And I think that's one of the things that I've taken from Drag Week is to make sure to remember that, yes, our audience, their core love is racing and that universal love of speed, but just a reminder that there's also a human element to it. And if that can be a connection to someone to maybe, root for this person a little harder, or understand that, hey, you know, they have challenges just like me, and yet they're out here being this professional drag racer. That's kind of what I took from it, and stuff that I want to start re-implementing into my work, and remind people that yes, there's the car, but there's also a human and a driver behind that helmet.
I agree with Wally Parks on many things that he said, but I do not agree with the stars are the cars. No, there is a human, and we connect with humans, and that human story is greater than the car story. Though there are some interesting car stories.
What's your favorite human story happening in NHRA right now?
Favorite one happening right now, other than my own? No. You know, I am a bit biased, obviously, and I'm very thankful to the Providence and all the people involved that have helped me to the point that I am now. But when it comes to stories out there, I am most intrigued, honestly, with Bobby Bodie. I really am. We talked about it earlier. I've done some interviews with him and done some promotional things. I just think, and going back to what you said earlier, like, the sport is bright. It's a lot brighter than I think so many doom and gloomers just won't let themselves see. Like, you've got this kid that has like no fear yet, which is a good thing, I think, in drag race, especially if you're going to be a funny car racer. And he's like turning knobs. He's making more decisions than people realize. He's getting some good help from like Tim Wilkerson. And, you know, he did his career best letting off the throttle at Indy because the car had never ran that good and it didn't have enough weight on the front end. You know, they're later on putting more weight on it. Like, we hope that's enough. They don't know. And St. Louis goes out there and runs a 389 and was number one until the last two cars of that session. And they barely nipped him. And it was Ron Capps and Matt Hagan. Hoosah!
Yeah, it's fantastic. Yeah, that was the run of the night for me.
Yeah. And, you know, he's a good-looking kid. He's a college student at Arizona State University, going to business there. I hope we can get it worked out where we have Arizona State on the car and like he can do a burnout with cheerleaders flanking the funny car. That's what I hope.
I just absolutely love that he, after weekends, he goes back on campus and is like, yeah, I'm a funny car driver. It just makes me so happy. It just makes me so happy.
Yes. Like, you know, forget the quarterback being a rock star. We got a funny car driver that goes to school.
I know, you know? Like even the race in Phoenix next year. I mean, we gotta make sure that happens for him. That's great. I love it. I'm with you. I love it.
I got to work on it. Hopefully Arizona State will be involved. I would love to see a Sun Devil funny car out there. That would be pretty cool.
Especially if you got a cheerleader to back him up. That would be epic. Plant that in his head.
I will work on it. Yeah, I don't care if he pays me or not. I'm working on that. I personally want to see it and be like, I did that.
That's so good. Big man on campus. Go for it, Bobby Bodie.
There you go.
Very likable. I like that not only that he's going after this as his passion and obviously the lineage from his dad, but he's actually really rocking it. He's making great decisions in that car.
He is. Definitely is. I'm going to bring this photo up. And you've got, I don't know if this was this year. I believe it was this year, but you've got a situation where you've got drag cars that look like off-road vehicles.
Yep.
Like, you know, there's one, a Camaro with fuel cells on the back.
Yep.
So what is the absolute strangest Twilight Zone thing you saw during drag week?
Oh, I have a really good story. Okay. So one of the things that happened, and by the way, that photo is perfect. You see all those trailers behind these cars, like that's what it looks like going down the road. And there's 300 cars, so you can imagine. I can only imagine what other people think, seeing this traveling circus going from drag strip to drag strip. But one of my favorites, as we were leaving, where were we? We were leaving Ohio to go to Indianapolis. Norwalk to Indy, and we had stopped at one of the checkpoints. So part also of the endurance part of the race, you don't get to just take the Google Maps straight to the next drag strip route. David and his team actually plan a non-traditional route to the next stop where you have to go through checkpoints to prove that you did it. So it's kind of a way to hold people accountable on the drive that they take. But one of the stops from Ohio to Indy was at this lake in Salina, Ohio. So we stopped by, and it was so cool because people are at that point, kind of relaxing from maybe I think that was probably 2.5 hours into the drive. So people were standing around their cars, taking photos of their cars that they have to turn in. And so I'm just taking photos of cars in the parking lot, like, this is so cool. And so then I'm like, okay, well, let's head on to Indy. And we get down the road, and there was a barricade that I couldn't get through. It was closed, but I knew that I had to go west. So I turned right to go north a little bit and decided that I'd find a road that I could hit left and go down. It said it's going to be closed for 7 miles. Well, we end up on this road. Meanwhile, my rental car was a Ford Mustang convertible, which was super fun and fast, and sounded good when I started it and revved. I had to be like part of it a little bit, but I had my passenger was a lady, Karen Brown, who works for Motor Trend, and we were kind of doing the Thelma and Louise kind of road trip thing, part of this as well. So we go down this road. It's not even on Google Maps. It's like not picking up. I'm like, what is going on? Well, for the next probably 20 miles, it was from Salina, Ohio to, oh gosh, I wish I could remember the next town. But I have been around. When we go to Reading, Pennsylvania, there's Amish country up there as well. This, however, was a different level of Amish kind of experience, and it was amazing. So for 20 miles, I'm on a road that has there's no telephone poles, no electricity, but it's just bare open property, tons of just compounds after compounds, and we probably passed 20 buggies during that 20-minute trip. I'm pretty sure that I turned in that rental car with horse shit still in the tread of the tires, but it was just such an experience of witnessing. And people just waving, and I was just like, wow. And now then I probably read for 4 hours about Amish communities after that. But it's, we got lost, and it's part of the story that we'll always tell. But it was, that's part of road trips, right? Things happen, and that's, it tends to be stories that you tell. But it was definitely unique. I had not experienced that firsthand.
Road trips, man, you can't beat them. Look. When there is time crunch, flying's great, but if I can drive it, I'll drive it. You just never know what you're going to find. You never know what you're going to get into, and you've got a story just like that.
Yeah, and it was funny because Karen was like, yeah, like, hey, boys, and they would just like wave and laugh, and like I said, we were in a convertible Mustang, so we had, our music up. I think at that point we were on power ballads, but things happen.
Y'all are going to be the talk for like next several years. You remember when these gals?
I know, it's so interesting of what could have been going through their mind. So I don't know if any of the other cars got lost going through there, but it was an experience. It really was. The drives were some of the they're long. I mean, you're leaving the strip, and it's anywhere from 4 to 5 hours to the next one. So it's beautiful, really, truly, truly unique.
Well, thank you for the perspective on Hot Rod Drag Week 2021. But before I do end this with you, NHRA, in particular Fox Broadcasting, hit a milestone with the most recent race at ZMAX Dragway, the most watched ever drag race. And you definitely are highly involved in that. Recently interviewed Steve Reinches, VP of Broadcasting, on the Competition Plus Power Hour. He was definitely involved with that. What did it mean to you, the team, the inner chatting of, yes, we reached this milestone and propelled drag racing that much further in working out that NFL lead in and lead out type of situation?
I think that's what it is. And when I came across the numbers, my first reaction to it was, wow, I'm glad that the fans get to celebrate this milestone as well. As you know, we hear the talk, drag racing is a dying sport, or and that means our fans do that too. And the idea that we could give them something to celebrate and that they could feel proud of what they love, and extending that out to our drivers and teams and sponsors. It really is an ecosystem, and we all have to work together to make all of it. There's that quote, high tides rise all ships. And that's how I like to approach any work that I'm a part of. It's not, me. It has to be us to be able to make this all work. And if it's something that helped one racer or helped one team or got one more sponsor to look our way, that's, something that I would be proud of, that our work could kind of enhance that. So it was really cool to see that. It was cool to be a part of it. And it just lets me know that our leadership is very conscious of making sure that this sport is at least on what can be controlled, headed in the right direction that we can on that side.
Boom. There she is, ladies and gentlemen, Amanda Busick on Hot Rod Drag Week, NHRA Drag Racing, all things motorsports, as she continues to expand the portfolio. Thank you, Amanda, for your time.
I appreciate it, Lee.
All right, there you go, ladies and gentlemen. It was so good to have Amanda Busick give me a portion of her day and to get her perspective on Hot Rod Drag Week 2021. I definitely hope to be able to catch a drag week sooner than later for my own purposes and to experience that for sure. I think it's one of the great races within drag racing of all the flavors we have right now. So right now, end of the show. I hope you all enjoyed it. It was great having Brian on, and great to have Amanda in the time. Was able to have her earlier today and get it pre-recorded with schedule and everything. Wanted to get her perspective and have it on the show. So, folks, thank you for chiming in. Thank you for watching. And if you missed a part of the show, you can always go back and watch it on YouTube. And definitely, please hit that like button for me. Subscribe to the channel and follow elsewhere on Twitter, Facebook, and Instagram. You'll see me at PDRA Gawlik Motorsports Park Drag Wars this weekend, and then I am traveling out to Texas for the Stampede of Speed. Tom says, nice show, great questions, and awesome platform. Trying to build it, man. Thank you, Tom. Y'all keep up the good work with the funny car. And ladies and gentlemen, until next time, God bless and keep the pedal to the metal. Power-Built Tools exemplifies innovation in the tool industry. From hand tools, power tools, and even tool storage. Check out powerbuilt.com for Power-Built Tools. And remember, use promo code MMR15 for 15% off at purchase.